Friends, get ready. Today's episode is sizzling hot. Every doll in my collection has its own personality. But that's the point of a collection, to ensure the whole gang has a certain vibe. What are my Barcelona residents like, I pondered? Firstly, they're youthful and modern. Barcelona has a very young soul despite its rich history. Then they're mischievous, active, and very sexy. Never vulgar. I want them to embody the youthful energy of life. Each one has her own story, but the overall feel of the collection should be like a lively group of college girls making you want to laugh with them just from the thirst for life. And since my girls are cheeky and aware of their beauty, they demanded beautiful lingerie from me. And just a reminder, you can give me a like in advance, and if by chance something does not appeal to you, you can always change it to a dislike as we go along. All fair? The transformation of a woman's underwear is a captivating journey through history, reflecting changes in society, fashion, and a woman's roles. The earliest versions of stockings date back to the 15th century. Initially, they were made from woven cloth and were a sign of nobility. Over time, with the invention of the knitting machine in 1589 by William Lee, stockings became more widely accessible and began to be made from materials like silk and wool, greatly diversifying this appeal and availability. Initially, undergarments were designed for modesty and hygiene, evolving into corsets that emphasized the waistline, and then into more liberation designs in the 20th century. The advent of knitwear and various fastenings in lingerie introduced comfort and functionality. Elastic waistbands and hook-and-eye closures revolutionized ease of use, allowing for more flexible and form-fitting designs. Stockings, once held up by gathers, were replaced by the invention of pantyhose in the 1960s, streamlining the female silhouette and accommodating the era's shorter hemlines. The realm of luxury lingerie showcases some of the most expensive pieces, often adorned with precious gems and metals. For instance, a notable piece is the Victoria's Secret Fantasy Bra, which features diamonds and other precious stones, symbolizing the ultimate indulgence in a woman's lingerie. These transformations underscore the lingerie industry's evolution from strictly utilitarian purposes of a celebration of female form and empowerment, merging functionality with fashion. Other faces of vice wander in the lanes of vintage Barcelona. The ancient heart of Barcelona is not just fabulous, it's downright magical. Despite the once love of wars, overhauls, barbaric actions, and occasional shrug towards self-care, old Barcelona has braved it all. It survived, thrived, and now stands tall, boasting an architectural and historical treasure trove accumulated over 2 millennia. Now, don't go looking for noble symmetries, delicate elegance, lush greens, or expensive parks and plazas in the historic center of Barcelona. They're just not on the menu. After all, the term Old Town is not thrown around lightly. Up until a couple of centuries ago, it was all cinched up in a stone corset of the defensive walls. This meant unbelievable compactness, a trait that chiefly flaunts even today. Take a bird's-eye view of the Gothic Quarter, for instance. It's like stepping back 7 centuries, isn't it? A maze of haphazard buildings, menacingly narrow streets with a silver sky above, and an omnipresent claustrophobic presence of stone, stone, stone. Similarly authentic, gloomy, picturesque, and charming is La Ribera, a born district, and frankly any corner of medieval stone Barcelona. Yet, not all relics from the distant past make sense to us 21st century folks. Take, for instance, this hefty stone head decorated one of the old houses on Mirror Makers Street. Whose head is it? Who is in there? What's the story? Meet the Carassa. These were stone heads depicting demons, satyrs, or notable sinners of both genders. Yep, in the sinners we are chatting about here. These Carassas first popped up in Barcelona in the 17th century, gracing the facades of buildings that were, shall we say, houses of ill repute. During the Ripas War in 1640, when Barcelona swelled with soldiers from Castile, these heads served as blatant signposts for the troops, guiding them to the delights of carnal commerce. But the Carassas were not just for the Castilians. They were a good sense for all those illiterate souls of the time, which, let's face it, was pretty much everyone. Plus, Barcelona being a port city, meaning that sailors, longing for feminine companionship, roamed the streets. For them, the Carassas were like a beacon leading straight to the brothers' doorstep. Some Carassas even became so renowned that they were given names. Take Papa Mosques, for example, adorning a building corner on Fly Street. Once again, we encounter a lascivious stone visage, this time of a male, unmistakably signaling the nearby presence of a house of tolerance. Barcelona, bless its heart, has always been quite the host for such establishments. And so unfolds the stone saga of the old city of Barcelona. So today my dolls decided to strip down to the underwear, which quite fittingly segues into my cinematic revelation, Poor Things. Made last year, right from the get-go, this movie had me spellbound starting with the opening credits. Each frame is a visual delight, complemented by a stunning soundtrack from Joskin Hendrix. Directed by a filmmaker I am alone acquainted with, Yorgos Lanthimos, the visionary behind The Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Lobster, featuring Colin Farrell, not to mention my ventures into Kinda Donalds and The Favorite, all strictly for the adult crowd. This adaptation from Alasdair Gray's novel brings significant shifts, including a pivot from the original narrator to Bella, spotlighting themes of patriarchy and female empowerment more pointedly. Poor Things scooped up 11 Oscar nods, clinching 4, including Best Actress, and even bagged the Venice Film Festival's Golden Lion. The film is not for the faint-hearted, plenty of blood and the surplus of physiological detail. Yet the presentation is stunningly beautiful and harmoniously self-consistent. Throughout human culture, philosophers have sought to find the beautiful in the ugly and the ugly in the beautiful. It is this dialectic that another monster tale a la Frankenstein and his escape from Paradise Garden is dedicated to. A story of personal transformation narrated through the language of the grotesque. Lots of pondering over human allowance and moral standards, and incredibly beautiful details throughout. Consider this recommendation linked onto your calendar. When you uncover a spare couple of hours, leap into action. The story comes from my mom, with a bit of my own interlude. When she was a student, living in Moscow, she participated in parades of athlete gymnasts. May ruled the streets. In Russia's cold climate, seeing someone with a tan in May was unheard of. And since stockings or tights were impossible to buy in the USSR due to all state production powers being directed towards defense or offense, depending on your view. And then, there is my favorite historical quip that Yuri Gagarin shot off to space in 1961. Mom was 26 at the time. But get this, Toilet paper only started rolling off the production line in the USSR in 1969 at the Syatsky Pulp and Paper Mill. Talk about a monumental event considering the long history of, let's call it, alternative hygiene solutions. Any Soviet citizen from any walk of life first catching wind of Gagarin's starbound adventure in the Pravda newspaper. Then, attending to their hygienic needs, using the very same paper. Everything is strictly under the auspice of the Red Star. Apologies for the vulgarity, just a historical excursion to keep you informed. Let's circle back to the beautiful parts though. Yuri Gagarin was a looker, even the Queen was smitten. So in post-war Moscow, female athletes paraded in short shorts way before summer hits. And to avoid the ghostly leg look, they dye their legs with a weak solution of potassium permanganate. Some even drew on seams to fake the stocking look. Youth is beautiful, even with painted legs and amidst Stalinist decor. The moral of the story: the USSR was my homeland, and I have no desire to tarnish its memory. There was a lot of good too, but the reason I find it important to share these stories, I sense the spectre of communism haunting Europe again. Having witnessed an exaggerated mutation of socialism, leftist ideas slightly frighten me. Yes, left or right, it does not really matter. What's important is freedom and to be surrounded by good people. Then there will be toilet paper in the house and stockings of all kinds to be found. Traditionally, I'll ask you to subscribe and hit the like button. If you have watched up to this point, it seems quite appropriate to me. The vibrant tapestry of the cultural heritage brings us the delightful tale of Polichinelle's secret, a narrative steeped in the colorful tradition of commedia dell'arte, an Italian theater from born in the 16th century. Picture flamboyant characters, each more eccentric than the last, wearing masks and engaging in improvised performances, brimming with wit, satire, and slapstick humor. Among these was Pulcinella, known as Polichinelle in French and affectionately dubbed Punch in English, a comical hunchback doing a white ensemble with a peculiar head and a mask highlighting a hooked nose. And his antics, often resulting in humorous predicaments, brought to life the phrase Polichinelle's secret, emblematic of a secret so poorly concealed it might as well be public knowledge. This character's essence, deeply rooted in the commedia dell'arte, found resonance beyond Italian stages, weaving its way into the fabric of Catalan culture as Titella Polichinella in Catalonia. Polichinella, adopted to local tastes, yet preserving the core traits of mischievousness and humor, became a central figure in puppetry and traditional street performances. These puppet shows, a testament to Catalonia's rich tradition of theater and performance art, highlight the character's distinctive features and slapstick roots, engaging audiences of all ages and underscoring Catalonia's openness to integrating and reinterpreting cultural influences. The transition of Polichinelle from live theater to puppetry exemplifies the fluidity of all forms, allowing characters to thrive into new mediums. In France and across Europe, Polichinelle's legacy continued in puppet shows, captivating audiences with his mischievous and comedic nature. The puppet version of Polichinelle, with exaggerated physical features and movements, brought a new dimension to the character, ensuring his enduring appeal in the realm of theatrical and street performances. Through these narratives, we observe not just the evolution of a beloved character across cultures and mediums, but also on the universal appeal of human storytelling. Polichinelle, in all his forms, remains a cherished emblem of the comedic arts, from stages of Commedia dell'arte to the puppet theaters of Catalonia and beyond, enriching the cultural landscape and continuing to delight and entertain. In the next episode of Wooden Dolls and Doll Accessories, plus updates from the workshop and my digital products. Make sure to subscribe and hit the like button.